like and subscribe. At this time, what is your view of Joe Biden? I feel exactly the same about Joe Biden as I do about Pride Month bank loggers. I just wish we had better options. Or a better system. Or bought a vertical bar. Of all the presidents we've ever had, Biden is certainly one of them. I'm sure the replies are going to be an absolutely civil discussion. Let's be honest here. We didn't vote him because he was a phenomenal choice for a president. We voted him because the other candidate was fun. I just wish America had better options. I hate that everything with politics is definitely either this or that. If you don't like Biden, then you must love Trump and vice versa. As if the concept of middle ground didn't exist. European countries have 6, 10, 12 different political parties running in a given election. I refuse to be tricked into a false dichotomy. Don't like him. But to be honest, I haven't particularly liked any president. Or any politician really. Note, lifelong Democrat and I voted for Biden. Domestically, he sucks. His foreign policy sucks. I expected both of these. But here's the thing, there was not going to be an easy or pretty way to get out of Afghanistan. Did Biden things up unnecessarily? Of course he did. But getting out was going to require eating a sandwich. And Biden's greatest quality is eating sandwiches. So for that, I am appreciative. But there was a right way the withdrawal should have been done. Not easy but right. Troops leave last. They should have been in Kabul already. Get refugees out, then get the embassy out. The troops hold Kabul in the meantime. Once they're out, you tactically retreat and bring the soldiers home and let the country fall to what it was. I served over there. I have been in a gunfight in Kabul. Taking it was the hard part. Holding it was a soil vertical bar. Not sure if Biden or his cabinet, but someone royally edit up. Because they would not listen to those of us that have actually been there. Every troop who ever served there knew the Anna would not hold back the Taliban. Vertical bar. Sorry, I am a frustrated veteran ranting. It is not all Joe Biden's fault the situation we are in, but his lack of tactics in the final mission of this campaign are unforgivable. I honestly checked out of politics for the most part following the election. Just the types of ideological battles that are dominating the discourse right now make me sad for the future, considering what is being ignored or swept aside. Seeing arguments about whether face coverings are a violation of rights, while the world seems to be cooking itself, seems a bit like not seeing the forest for the trees. If I think about it too much, I go into a fatalism spiral and lose motivation to reach milestones that most people find important, because I just assume society will break down in the next 50 years, so I might as well just tread water financially and play baseball until it all falls apart. INB for sir, this is when Diaz. All presidents are. Some more so than others. Democrats and Republicans some. Politics is a corrupt game. We should stick together cause we all have a lot more in common than the things we disagree about. They are trying to divide our communities. Don't let them. Just BC we may disagree on politics doesn't mean we can't get along. There are bigger fish to fry than each other. Our enemies want us to fight and destroy and weaken ourselves. Let's come together and decide we are better off together. Peace, love, life, D-dash. Not the worst. Not the best. He'll go down as a forgettable president and I am okay with that. It just feels weird to once again see the POTUS in the news like only once a week. Only thought is we need age limits in politics. I am still sitting here wondering how we got Kamala Harris as VP. Finally, a post where people aren't sucking his praising him. Personally, I think it's been a total show. As Americans, we deserve both parties committed to find common ground. This bull. one party setting the other up for a fall has got to stop. Oh vertical bar, we will all suffer on so earnest. Oh vertical bar, and we are. It has become all about fame / glamour. Leave that in Hollywood. Hell is where I expected, racing between disasters. You cannot gut the government then complete, when the next guy is behind the 8 ball on everything. I have some complaints, different priorities and ways I would have handled some things different. Overall I am okay with what Hell has done, and how Hell is doing it. I mean I am Canadian, so my mainstream of hate goes to Trudeau Mayor. As a non-American it is nice not to have to hear about him daily like Trump. Probably the worst president in my lifetime already. I know everybody hates the last guy, and he was a super douche, but actual job performance I'd take him over this guy. Go ahead Reddit. Not a fan, but he could be worse. The areas I care the most about, he has not really addressed or implemented any real changes. He's always been a classic super corporate Democrat, so I'm not terribly surprised, especially for a Delaware politician. The idea that he's either a communist or the next FDR is ridiculous to me. Like most politicians, he's willing to take risks, if it costs him little. He pretends he doesn't have the power to take certain actions that he does, that sort of thing. I really dislike how he intentionally fails to acknowledge the depths or breadth of issues. He's smart and experienced enough to understand the extent of his equivocating. Classic political dishonesty which I loathe. One frustrating example of this was him being such an outspoken, enthusiast supporter for employer-based health insurance during a pandemic with mass layoffs. If ever there was a time that shows the weak points of our current healthcare system, it's now. At some point, we need politicians in tracksuits with sponsorship badges like professional drivers, preferably with badges proportionate to size of donation / legalized bribes. YouTubers have higher levels of financial disclosure regulations than the people running this country. His strengths are his compassion, executive experience, and a better than most understanding of foreign policy, which is more essential of our current crop of politicians than anything. I hope to love anything in life as much as he loves Amtrak. If that love inspires actual infrastructure improvements, all the better. Even if our priorities and some of our beliefs differ, I think he's a hard worker, and I like that he's not impulsive. I've always been very civically engaged, and have not felt inspired to ramp up, or dampen my involvement in response to his actions. If he runs in 2024, I do not think he will win re-election. Largely unchanged. On the whole, still a lot more compassionate and competent than Trump ever was. Was Afghanistan Yup. Definitely. Does Biden deserve all the blame he's getting? No. He definitely gets some of the blame, but not all. Trump's deal with the Taliban kneecapped Biden from the start. Trump even openly said out loud, practically to their faces, that he wants the US to leave Afghanistan. Is that alone bad? No. The US needed to leave. But at the negotiation table, you do not state your goal or desire bluntly. You have to keep your opponent guessing. Trump, Mr. Art of the deal, broke that cardinal rule, and screwed it up for his negotiators. Add that with the tentative blatantly stated deadlines for withdrawal, and the Taliban knew exactly where, and when to strike. The Afghan government and military collapsed, leaving the Taliban unopposed. Hence why they ended up gaining so much land so quickly. So no, on the whole, I'd say Afghanistan was roughly 60% Bush's fault for starting it. Roughly 15% Reagan's fault for practically creating and aiding the Taliban to begin with. Roughly 10% Trump's fault for that awful deal with the Taliban. Roughly 10% Obama's fault for continuing the war and not pulling out after getting bin Laden. Roughly 5% Biden's fault for the Thai exit that was kinda out of his control. The good, well back to some semblance of normal. The bad, well back to some semblance of normal. It is like pretending you're okay when in reality the world is going to. The president of the USA is not in charge of the world. I like where his heart is. I just think he is too old. We have a minimum presidential age. It's about time we have a maximum. People also need to understand that Congress is more important than the president. We need to overhaul voting and get these crooks out. Until that happens, every president's goodwill is meaningless. I'm REPUBLICA in asterisk. I voted for Biden. I knew I wasn't going to vote for Trump, so of the Democratic candidates I was most aligned with Biden. So from that standpoint I was okay with it. I don't like his domestic policies, but I knew that. I voted even knowing that Congress almost certainly would be with his party and be able to pass them. I didn't really have an opinion about his foreign policy, and maybe I should have, but Biden absolutely ed up Afghanistan. Sorry, guys, but being president means you have to deal with the problems you inherit, and explicitly this issue could have been handled so much better. So, I can't say I'm disappointed, because I didn't expect much. But even then, I still think his presidency is better than whatever Trump would have ended up doing, because he was that bad. I'm not a huge both choices suck person. I generally think that America does pretty good. I would have been happy with either Obama or Romney or McCain or Clinton. While I may disagree with one more than the other, they all would have been perfectly fine presidents. I think people expect perfection and don't understand that politics is inherently about negotiation and persuasion, which means you're never going to get 100% of what you want. That doesn't make the choice bad. 2020 was close, though. Oof. Asterisk, I'm currently a Republican, because my assumption is that Trumpism and the current hypocritical leadership is a minor blip of populism that is going to disappear in an election cycle or two. If the anti-trade, nativist ideology sticks around, I have no problem abandoning the party. But right now, at least on paper, I agree more with the GOP than the Democrats. So my efforts are going to be voting in the primaries to get non-Trumpist candidates elevated. I cannot really see him from here. So I would say my view is terrible. The only time a politician is telling the truth is when he is accusing the other of lying. Which is probably the highest I have thought of any president my entire adult life. He could handle a lot of things better, and right now he is making himself look bad. Harris is worse. I've been to the border. Oh, you have. Stupid laughter, but you can all well vertical bar. Sleepy Joe Gothica. I agree with him that the US, him not American, had to pull out of Afghanistan, and that it would not have been pretty regardless of who did it, or when. I also think Hitler's too old to be president. What exactly was success supposed to look like? Were we going to train a bunch of riffraff to fight that barely wanted to be there in the first place? The war did what it was intended to. It made a few arms dealers richer at the expense of a population that no one really cares about, and a few thousand soldiers. Does Biden impress me? No. I am just grateful to not spend my days wondering what in the president is going to do next. Hitler's not fit for the office Hitler's holding. Conservatives have been saying this for a while now, that one large-scale crisis would reveal just how bad. Welp, here we are. How is he not fit for the office? Didn't all those same conservatives say the same thing about Trump, then backed him for 4 years, when he clearly was not fit for office? Why would you listen to them? I don't really give them. Because I'm not American. I'm just glad we don't have to hear that orange anymore. At least till 2024, if he decides to run again. I'll never understand why you guys didn't give Bernie a shot. That man was the gift America refused to open. A career bureaucrat who blundered his way into the White House by dint of who his predecessor was, and the fact that there was a crisis during election time. He is a refu ****ng idiot. But everybody should have seen this coming, when he was hiding in his basement before the election. And people voted for this fool, because they hate Trump so bad. That's the stupidest thing I have seen in my life. Better than his immediate predecessor, but it's a really low bar. I mean, all he has to do is not incite an insurrection against the United States, and he'll automatically be better than Cheetah. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.